Hey Rebels, it's Charlie, your host of the Salon Rebel podcast. Today I'm doing a solo and I have not done a solo in a long time. So hopefully we get through this in one big long 30-minute breath, and stay tuned because it is a little bit of a motivation hit for anybody that has maybe had a bit of a tough year, or maybe you're about to have a tough time. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what I went through this year and how I was able to rebuild my business. And yeah, I'm going to jump right in. So, the beginning of this year started off like most years, which I had a few people leave my business. Every single year in January, I always feel like now is the time that people might move on. They might find a new job, or I don't know why they always seem to be having babies in January, February. So people are finishing up on mat leave or whatever it is. But the new year always brings like a lot of changes, I find. So last year, I had something pretty horrific happen within my team at the end of the year. And long story short, I ended up losing a few team members at the beginning of the year. So this was quite a catastrophic amount of revenue. So this was my highest earners, and they took a ton of clientele with them, which was quite terrifying for me. And being the more seniority on my team, they were really like quite a big part of that business. So when that happened, it was super, super scary for me. So I had thought that I was going to be, losing one team member. I ended up losing a couple, and I really got to a point where I didn't know what I was going to do and how I was going to come out on that, like come out on top of that. And so my immediate knee-jerk reaction was to just like go home and drink a copious amount of wine, cry, and think about selling the business. Because honestly, like when you have been in business for a long enough time to rebuild it a couple times and to, I think, go through that and rebuild a team and then get knocked back again, every time it happens, it's like, it's super soul destroying. And no matter how it ends, it's hard not to reflect on yourself. And I think it's important that you do reflect on yourself and how you can be better as a leader, what you could have done wrong, the signs, And I think it's really easy to start thinking about like doubting yourself. So I had this epic business that I had lost a couple team members, and I'm sitting there in my head thinking like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I'm going to be able to rebuild this business anymore. The hurt and the weight of that was so heavy to me. And so I really had to think about what I really wanted with my life. And one of the things that I was going through was like how much I was taking on, how much it was really, I guess, causing a weight in my personal life. So I'd be at home with the kids, I'd be thinking about work. And not in the normal, exciting thinking about work that I normally have, more like depressed, anxious, like shame, just feeling like sick about things that were going on. I'm sure if you have a salon, all of you have gone through a time where you feel similar to that. And I think we don't talk enough about how much insecurities team turnover really brings to us as salon owners, especially when we've tried so hard to do everything as best as we can. You want to do all the right things. You want to pay people right. You want to treat them right. You want to be there for them where they lose their family members, or they need they need a car loan and you help them out, or their creepy uncle just got caught looking at them and they need a place to run off to. Like, you name it, I've been there, and I've been that person for my team. And so when things happen, it's really hard to not just feel really shit about yourself. So it took me a little while. And the one thing I would say is like, it used to take me longer. And people ask me all the time, I go like, does it get easier losing team? And short answer is no, but I think that we bounce back way faster from it as it goes on. So it still hurts the same amount. It's still a kick in the guts. You've not just lost a team member. When you've lost somebody that has been with you for a really long time, you lose a friend and you lose a team member and you lose a massive amount of revenue. And that is what is really terrifying. So it's all those three things at once. Like if your best friend pisses you off and you get in a fight, like, sure, okay, you're not talking anymore. You're not going out for drinks with her, whatever. But when you lose a team member that's a friend and bringing in like financially impacting your life, it is just, it's catastrophic. And when it happens to us as salon owners, and there's a couple of them at once, it's really hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. However, luckily for me, I did find the light at the end of my tunnel. And as much as I really decided that I thought about selling, I literally contacted a broker. I asked all the questions. I knew what my salon was worth. And I really had to weigh up whether or not selling was going to be the right thing for me. Now, this is not the first time I have gone down that road to just like inquire about what it would look like if I sold my business. And I think that the thing that usually happens is I find out, I find the numbers, I sit on that and I go, hey, like I could get well over $1 million from my business. That sounds pretty good right now. I get to walk away from all of that. And I sit on it for at least a couple weeks because I don't want to be making an emotional decision. Hey Rebels, this episode is brought to you by the Biz Tool Boutique, where we share with you my most loved systems and programs to help you with the day-to-day in running your service-based business. We are also taking on a couple select few for a mentorship program. If you want to head to the link below, we'll tell you all about that. We offer mentorship programs and mentorship plus ads, which is my personal favorite, where I get to walk you through and literally do your ads for you in the same way that we are absolutely smashing ours today in my own business. If that's something that you'd like to know more about, head to the link below and don't forget to follow along, subscribe, and press that 5-star button. So once I have that kind of information of the reality of what that would look like, I really want to envision my life without my business. Would I like the way that looks? What would my day-to-day be like? I could work on all these personal projects that I've wanted to do. I could, do the things that I love and stop dealing with the hard stuff about team management, being let down by team members, having them, steal from you and do shit that like no salon owner ever wants to deal with, but we do. And it did sound really nice. It sounded nice to think, hey, like I could just get rid of all this. I could pay off my house. I could have a few $100,000 extra and I could do what I wanted and I could start again without any of this shit. And it sounded pretty good. And I will say that, yeah, I was very tempted by it. And then I woke up for the second time, because this has happened to me before. I woke up with a fire in me so strong that basically was like, hell no, am I letting these bitches change my life? So I made a decision that if I was going to sell my business, it wasn't because of other people, it would be because of me. So I decided that I was going to take things into my own hands, and I'd done it once before and I could do it again. And I know that I'm a strong enough person that I've been through a lot worse things than this, but because of the amount of effects that it was having on my life, my personal life, my business, my finances, that's why it felt so heavy. But if I could just get past that it could become good again. So this took me probably like a couple weeks to like go through the motions of what that was going to be like. And in that time, I had to jump back on the floor. So I had to jump back on the floor, take over all these people's clients, explain to them what was like going on, because all of a sudden you have a few team members leave and people are like, everybody's left. And you're like, half part of you is kind of like, yeah, thank God for that. But then the other part is like, yeah, like, don't worry, it'll be fine. Like, it's definitely a difficult time to get through. But I think something that was really important about what I did in that time is I made sure that I stayed there for my clients and for my team. So instead of like, I could have just like hid in my office, hid at home, had the girls keep working. But instead I was like, if I'm the owner of this business and I want to be a good leader, when times get tough, that's when I need to come out and help. Not when things are easy and fun, but when times are tough. And if I want my team to respect me, I'm going to have to jump back in and help them and show them why this business is mine and that I created it and I can fix it and we'll do it again. And that's exactly what we did. So I jumped back on the floor. We got through the clients. We hired a manager that ended up being phenomenal. And it really opened up opportunities for me to restructure my business that I've been wanting to do for years. But because I had certain team members in my business, I felt like I was being held back because they had been there for so long that it was really hard for me to make the changes that I wanted to. Like, I went from being on the floor full time to slowly coming off the floor. And I found that when that happened, that I could feel a sense of entitlement with certain team members because I was no longer on the floor. And I felt, and I don't even know if it's just my own insecurities or if this was truly it. If you knew what happened at the end of this whole thing, you would probably say I was right on the money about this. But I felt that my team felt just a bit annoyed that they were on the floor doing the clients and I was doing other things. So I was working on growing the brands. I had started the e-com brand, which took me off the floor. I had the kids, obviously, which took me off the floor. Then I started another digital product company. Then I started talking about money and profit and that kind of thing. And that was a really hard shift in me to get to doing what I wanted to do because I felt like I was being really held back with the people that I was working with currently in my business. So I felt insecure about talking about certain things, even though I pushed myself to do them because I was worried about what my team would think, because these are things that I had always talked about. I've always been, thinking about numbers and profit margins and all that. But now I'm talking openly about them on social media and thinking, are my team going to think that I'm money hungry because they don't see it from an employer side as much as I'm trying to really wrap their head around what that is like to run a business. There's definitely those insecurities there. So now I realized, I wake up and realize that the people that I just lost in my business were the ones that I felt were holding me back and making me feel insecure about the things that I wanted to do next. So suddenly I'm like, oh my gosh, I have the opportunity to do what I want to do now without feeling like I'm held back by what other people think of me. And as much as you want to say, oh, go read the book, like The Art of Not Giving a Fuck, that's just not going to happen overnight. I'm going to care. And I do care about what my team think about me because I've got to work with them. I want team that want to build up our brand, that want to see me succeed, that I want to see them succeed. I want that to be reciprocated. And so I got to really go, I get the chance now to do that and get to that next level without feeling guilt about it. So that's what I did. I found my next manager who could come on board and really do the things that I needed them to do and take the weight off me in the roles that I was still doing in our job, in my current position, so that I could work on the passion projects that I really wanted to work on instead. And that absolutely changed everything for us in the salon. We were able to then start structuring the business to be more of a turnkey business that I had always sort of wanted without the guilt of being a turnkey business. So we had basically taken the whole year to restructure. We started rebuilding our team. And one of the things that I found so mind-blowing to me is just the power of our brand and realizing when you build a strong brand, what the power of that is when you do lose team, when something does happen, that you've built a brand so strong that it really doesn't matter. You might get knocked back. You might have a bad month or two, but it does not take as long to rebuild because you have that strong brand and you have those systems in place and you're able to rebuild it. There's obviously losing, having a few team walk out that have a bunch of a big clientele, you're going to lose clients. But if you have a client base so strong that that community, and you open up more opportunity for new people to come in, you are going to be able to build that brand again. Yeah, you're going to be able to build that brand again. And that to me was so powerful. And the lesson learning that it's not to say that every employee is replaceable, but you can find opportunities when things like that happen to have somebody come into your business, take on that role that you really need, that you can take your business to the level that you want to take it to with the right people. So going back in the beginning of 2025, it felt horrendous, but now we are in September in 2025, and I can honestly say that what happened in the beginning of my business was the best thing that could have happened for me and my business, despite how challenging that was. So if you're going through a hard time right now where you've had some team leave, whether you've had to fire them, whether they've quit on you, whether they took a couple team, whether they opened up a salon around the corner, like, if you are concentrating on your brand, you are going to be able to rebuild. So one of the things that I did as well was I concentrated on not social media marketing, but marketing for new clients. So we started this last year in 2024, but when we took a hit in 2025, it became like our most important passion project was, how can we do our own advertising? How can we really make sure that we have that in that stream of new clients coming in? So if this happens to me again, I'm not shitting my pants because so-and-so took a bunch of clients. You can have your clients. They can go with you. That's fine, because I know how to rebuild my client base, right? I'm going to keep the client base that is diehards for our brand, and I'm going to lose some. Like, that is okay. But because I know now how I can market and how I can get those clients back in, and I've taken the time to work on that, I get to live with a lot less fear of what's going to happen if somebody leaves. So I hope that helps. If anybody's having that really challenging time, I hope that really can help you to feel like there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel, and there is so many ways and opportunities that you can find, even in the worst of times, for you to be able to change the things that you felt like you couldn't change despite who was on your team. No matter what their jobs were, that you now get to hire a shiny new team member to get them to be that person that you really need in your business now. Because I do find that it can be challenging when you have long-term staff. If I had a team of long-term staff and they were all there for 10 years and I didn't get to hire anybody new, it would be very hard for me to do new things. So I think we do need a bit of team turnover. And sometimes I call it a little team, like a little salon detox, when we have team members move on and you have a couple of them at a time, and you get to really take your business to the next level of where you want it to be. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that if you are having a hard time in business right now, me too. I cannot say enough that you can get through this. You just need to be determined, and you need to work hard, and you need to get up at 5 a.m. sometimes and do that shit. And sometimes it is going to be hard, and it is going to be an absolute roller coaster, but I would rather the roller coaster over the merry-go-round every fucking day of the week. So hope you enjoyed that, guys, and we will see you next time.